Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Johnson. I'm the owner and operator of Firearms Training Facility in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida, which we specialize in you. Welcome to our live podcast here from our range. And we have been spending most of the day today. The store has been closed, getting prepping for our hurricane that we're about to have. But I could not miss this live. I told my wife I'd run up this evening and do the live for you guys. We are fine. It looks like it's going to travel past us and hit in the higher Tampa Bay area, but you never know with these storms until the very end. Before we get started, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our sponsor. We actually last week just made a relationship with a new sponsor of ours, and we wanted to tell you guys about them. This sponsor is freeflorida.net, where they're a t-shirt manufacturer. It's a Florida-based company that I highly recommend you guys take a look at. We have negotiated a deal for you. You can look at go to their website directly and look at some of their shirts. I am wearing one of their light SPF 50 shirts, and very comfortable, very easy. It's got a logo on the back, logo on the front, and they're all about the Constitution. It's where the Constitution lives, freeflorida.net. They are family owned, and I'd highly recommend you take advantage of the 10% off with entering the code FJB, FTBJ92 at checkout, and you'll receive 10% off. These guys are super great, wonderful, and they are sponsoring us where they're sponsoring these live each week. They're sponsoring our YouTube channel, and they're sponsoring our social media accounts. We're going to be doing a lot of different stuff with them. But please, 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 to get an opportunity, check these guys out. They've got great product. This shirt is very lightweight, very comfortable. If you're looking for a decent, good quality product that's got a name, 2A, and it's very 2A friendly, and it's got some nice logos and things like that. Highly, highly recommend you look at freeflorida.net. All right. Until we talk later, we'll talk about them one more time. But thank you very much, freeflorida.net, for sponsoring this live. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about this evening essential preparations. Now, I wrote this last week in regards to what was happening in North Carolina. This is way before we had this storm bringing down our neck, which is kind of oddity. Florida just went through a hurricane. The poor guys up north, Helena, just went through Tampa already, and it looks like Tampa may get it again. Not that I don't want anybody to get it, but anything these high wind load products with heavy surge causes a lot of problems. These Gulf hurricanes are very rare, but when they happen, they are devastating. And storm wind is deadly. Storm surge kills. So, guys, if they're telling you to get out, get out. If you live in the beach or you live anywhere else that are very known to flooding, this is going to be no joke, because if it passes us and you're living in the Southwest Florida, all the way down to Naples and all that stuff, that hurricane passes, it's going to pull that water to shore. And I believe high tide on uh, on on that Thursday is going to be about 10 o'clock, which is going to be not good because we're going to have higher water than that. So if they're telling you to get out, guys. There are shelters all throughout the area here that will take you in if you have no money to go. But if you're trying to evacuate now, do not go north. You don't know where this thing's going to go. You're going to have to go over to the East Coast, down in Miami Dade area, like that, and be careful. Be careful with it, guys. Once you've made a decision to stay, you gotta stay. So this live we're going to do this evening, we're going to do a little quicker than normal because Miss Johnson's a little worried about me being out. We have no wind load here. I have the house all buttoned up. I have the range all buttoned up. All the guns are tied away. Everything's done there is good. We have food, we have everything we need. But I thought I'd go through a list because what I saw last week with North Carolina in that area up there where they had all that devastation. Now they're saying a dam broke is why they had so much flooding. Seems a little weird to me, but it's part of that whole scenario. We're going to talk this evening about essential things you need in the light of recent events and aftermath of storm, national disaster. Personal preparation becomes more critical, even more now with widespread power outages, supply chain disruptions, increased concerns over security. It's clear, yes, guys, people will want to take your shit. You need to make sure that you are protecting yourself, your family, your loved ones, as well as anything else. You see now what we've been talking about for years and years and years. What is my favorite line to you guys? You are your first line of defense. It's not the job, although FEMA is supposed to be helping us out. It's not their job to feed your family. It's your job to feed your family. It's not their job to have water and food and everything there. I understand money is tight for everybody nowadays. We're all feeling it, but a simple plan can get stuff in your home. Every 7-Eleven, every gas station has bottles of water. When it's hard times, this stuff can help us out tremendously. As a Florida boy, my mother and father always had a hurricane prep plan. They always had cans and they always had beans and they always had rice and they always had water, jugs of water all over the place. There's a lot of stuff you need to make sure you always have. You see these people that have lost everything, in their natural disasters. Having a prep plan will probably help you tremendously. There are a few things that are necessity, few things are not necessity, but you got to make sure you have the essentials. And that's what we're going to talk about this evening. Now, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this podcast if you have an opportunity. And if you have the opportunity to comment this evening, we appreciate it. I did not think a lot of people are going to spend their time this evening on the live with getting ready or prepped for our area. But keep in mind, not everyone's going through what we're going through. But you guys are part of my family, and I want to make sure you're protected and comfortable and everything else like that. So we will hit comments as they come in. I'm going to switch over to the comment page, and then we'll discuss all this stuff as we go. Jacob and I have, thank you, Marla. That's my sister in law. Thank you. Appreciate you very much. God bless you, Marla, and your family. It's my oldest brother, Richard's wife, and she is a wonderful one. And thank you for being there, Marla. All right, so this evening we're going to discuss the 10 items for personal or safety and home readiness. Do you have a plan? Do you have the proper stuff you need? We actually, this time, I'm preaching at you about plans. And this is the first time Miss Johnson, myself, and Jacob, because Johnny is with his girlfriend and they're all protected already. Johnny and his girlfriend, excuse me, Johnny and his fiance. If you guys didn't know, Johnny asked his beautiful bride to be Hillary, to marry him in Atlanta last year. And she said yes. So we have a wedding coming. We just don't know when. Not that they have to get married. Get the hint. Get the hint. They want to get married, and we love that girl so much. But they are prepared, and we are prepared. So this is one of those times that we're paying a little more attention than last time. Last time we had Ian that came through. It really messed the store up. We lost the roof liner of our range here. We were out of commission for a little while, and it made me a little nervous. God bless our a good roofer that we had, Fred, and the owner of the building, who were able to help us get this thing back up and running. That was kind of a blessing in our head there. And as support from people who were around us that all would come take care of us as well. we did have a bunch of people that wanted to buy from us during that storm, and made a difference. So this time we're not taking any chances at all. So let's talk about what's the first thing I'd highly recommend, the essential products. And this is going to be, we're going to be talking about personal safety. We're going to talk about home safety. We're going to talk about first aid kits. We're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. So you might want to get a pad and a pencil out and write some of this stuff down. Miss Johnson has been watching a lot of this stuff on YouTube or Facebook. We get all this stuff once in a while, and she had a couple comments that we'll share later on today. Okay. But the very first thing, I have to tell you is make sure you have some kind of firearm or home defense firearm. Home defense firearm would be something like a shotgun or something like that. But a handgun could be on your side at all times, makes it very easy. Make sure the gun is reliable. Make sure you have plenty of ammo for it. Make sure you have a holster or some kind of way of controlling it, and make sure it's well maintained and ready to go. What ends up happening, and it happened here, is a lot of the people who are thinking about other things lose their products in floods. We did a lot of cleaning of firearms after a storm, but you got to make sure that one that's next to you is available when you need it. Our governor in the state of Florida has put a big ruling out about looting and things like that. When you own businesses, you are allowed to protect your property in something like that, and you are clear and free for that as well as anything else, and as well as your home, you're allowed to protect yourself there. So make sure you have the proper handgun or home defense items. That's going to be more important than anything else. The list is strong, but your personal defense, your personal protection of your family, you know, we're very lucky that the truckers um strike did not last longer than it did. They were able to negotiate that, but that would not have took very long to make the coffers very low. These storms briefly take away a lot of stuff. Have you been to the store? Look at some of the stuff. Heidi and I went yesterday to pick up some tap cons at Home Depot, and the plywood pile was just completely devastated. There was water and other stuff there, but they were pretty damn busy. So having this stuff ahead of the game makes all the difference in the world. Chris, thank you very much. As good as hopefully everything's going to go good for you. Chris says, thanks for doing the live. I'm as good as I'm think I can be. Cars gassed up, water, ice, food, batteries, camp stove, coolers. So let's do this, I guess. Yeah, you're right, Chris. I mean, you can only be so prepared, ready to go. But keep in mind, head down and hold on. Well, keep praying like everyone else is. We may be able to get through this thing, and it just scrape us a little bit. Now we need to make sure that we're praying for upstate Florida here. Those people, at the Georgia and things like that, because this thing looks like it's going to track right through the middle of Florida and go right back up in that area up there. And even though it may not be a high wind storm at that time, it's going to have a lot of water with it, and that's going to be not a good thing. We've had 2 or 4 or 6 days of water here already, so the ground is saturated. So it's going to be somewhat of a if it flooded last week when we had that, we had people in our area here that went back to floods already. We have plenty of friends that live in areas that would not flood normally that did flood, and they're still talking some heavy storm surge here. So, man, my heart's for you. All right. When you got that weapon, let's say you got a handgun, make sure you have a good quality holster that goes with it. Those two things are synonymous for what you're going to need. You can't have that firearm tucked in your belly, especially if you're outside doing work or anything else like that. Not that I think you're going to need it, picking up debris, but you never know. You never know. That's why we carry a pistol because the cop's too heavy to carry. So those are the two first things I would talk about is with your personal safety. You got to make sure you have a handgun or personal defense weapon, and you got to make sure you have some kind of way of controlling it or holding it or whatever you're going to do in some kind of. So the next part of this is going to be some home preparation stuff, and this is the things that I think people sometimes don't think about, which can definitely make a difference on your physical security. A security system of some kind. Thank you, Jose Fernandez. We appreciate you very much. We're going to try to make it through with people like yourself praying for us. God will do what God does. He doesn't give us enough. He gives us just enough that we can handle. So obviously, we're going to get through this like we always do. Some kind of security system of some kind that's always best. I know security systems do not work really well with no power, but those cameras can help us look at a lot of different stuff. I know I use the cameras here at the shop a lot, and I could be at home and be able to see what's happening here as well. So, comprehensive home security system with cameras, sensors, alarms, and monitors, and can deter any threats or disturbances. What's happening nowadays is we always talk about these national disasters, but there are some abilities sometimes that we could have these security threats that we don't even think about, like looting and things like that. When people are short on food or money or anything else like that, and they see someone else has it, they may want to try to take it. And we want to make sure that we're able to protect our property as well as our family members. And when they're taking something that is our security, we need to make sure that we have the ability to defend ourselves. So, expecting a sheriff or cop. Now, keep in mind, all of our deputies, all of the sheriff's department, the police department, do not want to put their guys in harm's way. So when the storm is rapidly coming, these guys are pulled off the street. Paramedics are pulled off the street. Fire trucks are pulled off the street until the storm has passed. So there is a time where you're going to be your first line of defense, and you better damn well understand that. Because if you look at these people, these poor people in North Carolina waiting for FEMA to come there and help them, the churches in the area and the people in that area that are traveling to protect them and help them are the only way they're getting support at this point in time. I don't want to get too political on this, but $750 that you can apply for. Well, how are you applying for $750 in these areas with no power, no internet, nothing? How are you supposed to do that? Although we're giving people from the, undocumented people millions and millions and millions of dollars. We're getting Serbia and all these places millions of dollars, and the U.S. people are getting nothing. It's a shame. It's a damn shame. All right, so home preparation number one is a security system. Most security systems, like ours here at the range or yours probably at the home, do have battery backup. Battery backup will help us for a while, but it's not, you should not depend on it only. Make sure that you have your weapons secure of some kind. This is all of your weapons, like here at the store. These two back here, I don't know if you can see them. These two safes back here, they are full of our firearms when we leave the store every night, and we open them up every day, and we've got to put them away. Will that safe stop a bad guy? No, but it will deter him. Yes, yes. This is all what alarms do and everything else is secure. But make sure you store not only your firearms, but your ammo. Remember this, guys. Wet ammo is not good. I don't know how many thousands and thousands of rounds people have brought me that we just turned back into our guy who makes bullets uh, to reuse because these when bullets get wet, they're not good. And people don't think about that. So when you're at your home today and you're looking around and you may be in one of those wet areas, you want to make sure you put this stuff up high enough that if you had any kind of water surge at all, we didn't have flooding in the store. Our roof liner came off the building, which caused us to have rain. We were fortunate enough right after the hurricane, we had 10 days of beautiful weather. I mean, like it brought cool weather right off the bat. The last hurricane we had, we were sweating to death. This one here, we actually had to wear long sleeve shirts after the hurricane. But then again, within a week or so, that's when we realized how much flooding we really had. Plus, we had a large amount of power down, so we weren't even open up here at the store for a week and a half to 2 weeks. We had no internet, nothing. It was a direct hit. I don't believe this one's going to be. I think we're going to have power outages, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was the last time. I think people are more prepared now because we were told for well, I'm 57 years old, and I've been told about storm surge for 50 fucking years. Excuse me, 50 years, right? I've been told 50 years about storm surge, and Ian was the first one we really had dramatic, life-threatening storm surge, and it had been preached at us for years and years and years, and we all took it for granted, guys. We all took it, we all said, well, they talking about storm surge, blah blah blah, and then it really came in a storm surge. It destroyed islands, it destroyed bridges, it destroyed a lot of stuff, and we just weren't ready for it. We didn't. They've been saying it. They've been calling wolf on this thing for years and years and years, and all of a sudden it happened, and now this storm has really woke up a lot of people. So, definitely, if you think you're in a flooded area, I beg you, I plead you, get the hell out. Don't stay around. If you don't heed their words, you're on your own until the storm passes. Don't forget that, guys. All right, so next thing, what we got to do is we got to worry about some kind of way of feeding ourselves. So you need to stock up on non-perishable food items like canned goods, freeze-dried meat. Miss Johnson, jerky's good, right? But I don't know about that freeze-dried meat thing. Snacks, enough to last at least a month. Guys, you know how cheap ramen noodle is? You can take ramen noodle, you can take boiled water, you can eat on that stuff, Vienna sausages, potted meat, cheeses, things that you don't need to refrigerate forever. These are great items, make sure you have. Cans of beans, cans of corn, you could eat a lot of different stuff. These are important for us to have with us because we may be out of power now. Which one was it? It was Charlie. We were out of power for 14 days. We had generators running for 14 days. Yes. That was the first one. Now, of course, we had a well system that ran off a generator, so we were able to take showers and things like that. And my mother-in-law lived close to us. We were able to shower. We stayed with them. I stayed at the house because I didn't want the generator to be stolen, and all that stuff. So I stayed at the house for looting purposes, which we didn't have anything like that. But I stayed there more than anything else. But it was 14 days. Wilma, we were 8 days. Wilma was 8 days. Johnny was going to college then, so we were that it came in on a Thursday or something like that, and Johnny was supposed to be at college on that Friday, and they moved it to the following Friday. So we went from Friday all the way till we left on Wednesday. The first air condition we got besides inside the car was the hotel room in Savannah, Georgia, when we took Johnny to college the next day, because he was able to go in a little early. So, and that was his orientation of that weekend. But that took a little bit. When we got back, we had power there. And then the last one, which was Irma, we were out for 9 days, 9 days with no power. Yeah, 9 days. So uh, you start understanding. Good thing Miss Johnson likes camping because, the whole my daughter-in-law, my future daughter-in-law Hillary, lives right across the street from the Fort Myers High School, and on top of that, she's on the hospital grid, so she didn't lose power at all. So we were able to go over and shower with her and all that stuff like that. But we step over at the house all the time. So, coming up with some perishable food items, there's a lot of freeze-dried stuff you can get. There's a lot of different stuff. You should be buying a little bit of this each time. Just put it away. That ramen noodle shit lasts forever. That and Vienna sausages and peanut butter and tortillas and just little things like that. Just get you some kind of uh, ordinary stuff you can get without putting any kind of that doesn't need refrigeration. That's important because you may not have the ability to run your electric if the power goes down. And keep in mind, most of your power agencies, they don't want to tell you these, but during the major storms, when they think they're going to have wires down and things like that, they shut the power off way before the storm even shows up. And they'll probably within an hour of the storm hitting, they'll shut down a lot of the major powers. They don't want to tell you that, but that's I've been told by other power people because they don't want those wires being live on the street and being blown, especially if the wind's going to get past 40 miles an hour, which here locally it should be in that 40 to 60 range, which is not good. It's not that's that 40, 60 mile gust is okay. 40 and 60 miles an hour for a long period of time is destructive. It will tear a lot of stuff up. All right, so some kind of water supply. If you kind of think about that, but you should store several gallons of water per person for emergency, plus some kind of filtration system, like a portable water filter. They make a lot of that stuff that you can buy on the internet, survival wise, bottled water systems, or anything else like that. You just can't count on your water system to be there when you need it. If you're on city well and city water, you can't count on water pressure, which in turn, if there's no water pressure, the filter systems in the city lines are not going to work. And they're going to tell you that it's not going to be a water that you should drink until you boil it. And during the storms and stuff like that, your well system and your water system works off electricity, which may not be working as well. So you want to make sure that you have multiple gallons per person. So you've got 4 people in your home, and you think you're going to be down for 4 or 5 days without water. You want to make sure you have enough of it that you don't have to be rationing your water and everything else like that. Very, very important. Water, you can live without food, guys, for a long, long time. There's a plenty of fat on us to do that unless you're skinny, skinny, but you can't live without water. You gotta have the water to be hydrated enough. You're not hydrated enough, you're not gonna make it very far. Food we can live without for a little while, water we can't. So make sure you have that water. And water helps us be more sanitary too. We can wash our hands, we can do a lot of different stuff because basically when you're in a situation where there's no power, no AC, things start to get dirty. And when they get dirty, that can get in your mouth and other places. So you want to be very, very careful with that as well. All right, so some kind of first aid kit, a well-stocked first aid kit, including supplies, bandages, antiseptics, or any other necessary medications. This is probably one of the things that people don't think about enough is when the storm is coming, make sure you got your medication, make sure you have it written down, and make sure you let somebody that know what kind of medication you are taking. That way, if a scenario happens where you become unconscious or anything else like that, we have to contact or take you somewhere, they know what kind of medication you're on and get those reserves of medication is priority as well. Uh, one of the things Heidi and I always do it when a storm starts to come in. Well, it's deer season now, so I always have this. But majority of the time, there's probably 2 to 4 gallons of water in gallon jugs in the freezer to begin with, as well as probably 10 or 12 bottles of water that are just frozen in the freezer. Two things happen. If we lose power, those will cool down or keep the freezer top colder longer than if you don't have anything in there. And then as well, when the water begins to or the ice begins to melt, you'll be able to drink that water as well. So that's extra gallons of water that don't take up a lot of room in the freezer, but on the top of it gives you the ability to keep the freezer colder, and then we'll take 2 we'll transition to those gallon ones down into the refrigerator as well, which will allow the refrigerator to stay cooler as well, in case you didn't have some kind of power backup system. Um, Speaking of power backup systems, that's the next thing we're going to talk about, investing in some generator. Try to buy a generator now, it's too late. They're too expensive, they're not available. You'll be surprised. I have a buddy I talked to last week. He spent the last June and July, he bought 19, I said 19 generators off Facebook for pennies on the dollar because people didn't think they were going to need it. They invested 5, 6, 7, 8, $900 on this generator sitting in the garage, and they think, I'm never going to need this thing, and they sell it. And the guy walked in and he seven, 300, $400, 5, 6, 7, $800 generator. He's getting for $200 cash because people are hard up for money, right? So they have something you can sell, they sell it, and now they wish they had the damn thing, which they didn't have. So it's kind of a thing you got to make sure. Yep, I still have it, man. I still got generators. That's exact. I got two. I got one backup and one regular. Yeah, hey, yeah, Danny, I do. How you doing, buddy? Good hearing you, Danny. I'm glad you're there, buddy. Danny, actually, that generator went to Johnny and his girl. So in case they needed it, it was gonna go over there. So we're gonna be transferring that over there. Hope you and your family are doing well, sir. Here's a little tip I forgot to mention to you about the freezer. I want you This is a good way to tell you if the freezer stays frozen the whole time. What I want you to do is take a plastic cup of some kind, and I want you to fill it full of water, and I want you to freeze that cup. And once you freeze that cup, I want you to put a lid or something on top of that ice. All right. And I want you to put that cup in the freezer. And then if we're running into a power situation, right? And the power went out for longer than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours or so, that cap that's on top of that frozen water would go be where? It'd be sink into that ice because it didn't stay on top. And at that point in time, you'd want to be careful of any food you had in that freezer because it could have unthawed and then it thawed back out and you could get yourself in some kind of issue with some bad frozen food and stuff like that. So a good tip there is a frozen cup with some water. We use a bottle cap on there, and that bottle cap itself would be being on top of the surface if it stays frozen the whole time. All right, so backup generator, you make sure you invest in a good backup generator. Make sure you have good, at least 100 feet or better of backup heavy duty extension cord. um, Power sources are a great way to keep it. You're not going to sustain the whole house. Your job really is to make sure when you've got these that you got your power bars, that you can plug in a couple different things. Make sure that you've got some box fans at the house that'll help tremendously staying cold. Yes, it's working. You can make sure that you have I actually have a air conditioned box. I have a box, a window unit that we could put in our bedroom, Heidi and I's, and cool off the bedroom itself in case we're not cooling off the whole house, obviously, but it'll help you sleep at night, especially if there's high heat or anything else like that. So you got to make sure you have all the necessary plugs you need for your phone and for your laptop and your whatever you guys have that you need power with. You got to make sure you got enough of that stuff and being able to have the power bars for them as well and enough of the generators help out tremendously, but they actually some of the juice isn't as strong as it should be. But the thicker the cord you have, the more it extends your power through those cords. So you want to make sure you have all that. Backup sources include any kind of for your phones. You can get power bars for your phones as well. Number 9, I think it is portable radios or flashlights. Keep in mind, TVs probably won't be working, but you got to know what's happening in the world. So, b- uh, battery powered, hand cranked, they make them. Reliable flashlights, extra batteries when the power goes out. Having some kind of flashlight. You don't know how dark the place gets until it is dark. When you have a full power outage like we had in the inn and things like that, where we have a lot of ambient light that happens in a city, and when it goes away, it is dark, guys. It is dark, 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 and you got to realize that you need to make sure you can see, uh, be outside or do anything else like that. So it helps out tremendously. With that power backup, we need to make sure we have all the fuel that we need for it. We need the oil and the fuel and any of the things, the extra little things you may need. What may go bad with the generator is maybe a spark plug, maybe a filter for it, maybe the oil for it. There's a lot of different stuff that you need to think about with your personal items. And then you need to think about tools, what pliers, hammers, saws, chainsaws, things like that. You may not be out there working on the world, but you need to make sure that your house is prepared enough that you can make it through this storm and other storms. Make sure your cars are filled up. I'm bad about that, man. I tell you that. I don't know what it is. I get in the car and I start thinking about other shit, and I always pass the thing, and I always think, why am I letting this car get down this low? I should never do that. They always talk about, the worst stuff in a gas tank is at the bottom of it, and if you're taking your car all the way to zero, it's sucking up all that shit that's in the bottom of that fuel tank. So you should always keep it at half tank. I'm gonna try my best the half tank is empty and refill it each time. Especially, I'm notoriously getting my wife's car, and her car is almost empty all the time too. So the two of us, we're not too good about that stuff. We got to work on it very much so. Having just a toolkit, so, having a toolkit for home to begin with is great, but having the ability to have all the equipment you need, especially the saws. We had a gigantic tree that busted down last storm. It was a big oak tree. Jacob and I and Heidi couldn't put our arms around it. The storm picked it up, threw it across the room. Not true. She busted me. Who knows? She listens once in a while. She doesn't listen once in a while. I love you, sweetheart. I love you, sweetheart. I get in your car and fill it up. I do that. More than likely, your car is empty. So don't fib, woman. But having all the equipment we need, we didn't have everything we needed. We didn't have enough to take care of that tree. I guarantee you that it was gigantic. But we just get enough to get it off the house and everything else like that. We had bow saws and stuff like that we had, so it worked out for us. But we wanted to make sure that generator is running the whole time because we wanted to keep the refrigerator running. That's what the generator is really for, guys. It's not really for We used it to cool the house down with the box fans. We brought some box fans home, which made it easy for us to cool the house down in case it got hot in there. We were fortunate enough last storm that it was cooler the next days after the storm, so it wasn't so bad. But one of the storms, it was 95 the next day, and it was damn hot. And we had to get the uh, shutters off the house pretty damn quick. That's one thing I could tell you about Miss Johnson and the boys. I was always working during all this shit, and she put the shutters up on the house multiple times without me. But she's done that a lot. She's done a lot of stuff. We owned a sign shop one time. Well, when we first got married, and we had Johnny, and she was on maternity leave, and I took like 2 weeks off from my other job, and I worked at the sign shop, and I was a salesman. I sold the shit, and she made it all. And so I sit in there, and we used to take a picture of everything we did, right? So it was a portfolio kind of deal that we could show customers. Is this what you're thinking about? And we could show you. Well, I started looking through this thing, and I'm thinking, I don't remember that sign. I don't remember that sign. I don't remember that sign. I don't. There was about the half that book I didn't remember. And don't forget, she had to get out a saw and cut curves with. No one wanted a flat sign anymore. They wanted curves and edges and things like that. And that thing was full of those, and I didn't know any of them. So it kind of tells you how much work I did at the place versus what she did at the place. But she was a trooper on that. And anytime we build any tile floor or anything else, we installed float floors in all the houses. So for one of the houses, we got a new kitchen and new thing. We cut down a wall, we did everything, and within a month and a half, we sold the place. She she wanted that lazy Susan so bad, she got it. She had it for about a month, and then we sold the place. She hated me for that, but it was part of the deal. We never got our lazy Susan again, but we will one day. I promise her that. Um, so having all this stuff available for you is very important. Just remember, guys, you are your first line defense. Nobody's coming to protect you. You're protecting yourself. You see this, what's happening in North Carolina, where the government is slowly showing up at this point in time, where when they're letting people go in and try to protect them or give them services, FEMA's trying to confiscate everything and keeping people out of there. I don't know what the effect of that is, but definitely understand that those people would, if they would have known, well, obviously, you can't know something like a flash flood like that because that never happens in those areas. But not having the product or having the product, keep in mind that if you have this stuff and your neighbor doesn't, don't be selfish, guys. Make sure you're able to protect any children and elderly need support and help. And if you got it, make sure you're out there helping. After this storm, after the math, make sure you're out there helping as well, because at the end of it, if you would need the help, I'm sure somebody will help you, and make sure you help them as well. This combination of safety gear, firearms, home prep essentials will help you stay ready for any potential disturbance. Personal safety and home preparation is not an option, they are necessities. In today's uncertain times, whether it's aftermath of a national disaster or potential of social unrest during the upcoming elections, taking the time to prep now to ensure you are ready for whatever comes your way by securing your home, ensuring your access and essentials, supplies, and potential personal safety through others' training and responsibility ownership. You can face the future with confidence and preparing for the future. I could tell you guys that a lot of this stuff, once you build this kit and you, let's say, for instance, Miss Johnson loves the macaroni and cheese. You can get macaroni and cheese. You can do all that stuff. You use a little bit of it, you put a little bit of back. If you just buy a little bit at a time, you don't need to go out right when this storm shows up and buy a whole bunch of shit. My dad was notorious for, in the latter part of his life, he never, well, I take that back. For many, many years, my father made his own shutters each storm. Dad was a woodworker. He liked to make a lot of shit, and Dad would cut all of his shutters up because they were smaller pieces that he could handle. And then when we got down to the storm showing up, I go, Pop, you want to go to the store now and get all that wood we need? Nah, we ain't gonna need that wood. It's gonna go blow by. Now that Dad was right. Most of the time it blew by, but I'd get that phone call about 2 days before the storm, and Pop go, "Well, I think you should come. Let's go get some of that wood." And then Daddy, the Home Depot's only going to have 5/8 plywood. It's going to be expensive. Well, that's all right. We'll have to get it. And then, we take it over, we cut it, make sure it all fits his windows, and we put it up. And the next storm would come through, and Dad had already cut 6 of those things up because they were easy for him to get to. So if you're making shutters for your home, mark them, hold them, and save them. Do not use them. Well, the idea of this is once you've made them, you don't have to make them again. Once you start this kit, you don't have to start this kit again. You don't have to go out the extra expenses. Now, I would recommend for the water situation, if you're buying cases of water at a time, you should always have water at your home, anyways, just in case for the purpose of it. Most people don't drink city water. I'm not that person, but we do a lot of bottled water at the house, and there's a lot of people who do it. But you can't go up to Walmart, take your bottle of water up there, and fill it up if the water machine at Walmart isn't working. If they have no power, it is going to be working. So getting something that you can count on, like those cases of water. They last a long time. And keep in mind, guys, if you're going out spending money on bottles of water and things like that, and you are in a position where you think you're going to return all that stuff, Walmart will take it back, but you're just wasting it because they cannot put it back on the shelves. And a lot of these stores now will not take perishable products like bottled water and things like that back. If you don't need it and don't want it, donate it to places that can use the water. My mother and father-in-law have a church that they belong to that feed the homeless on a regular basis. They would surely take it, and other places like that. So keep that in mind. As the end of this thing, we'll talk one more time about our sponsor. We'd like you guys to take advantage of them if you can and see if we can get you guys a super discount. We'd like to thank our sponsor, freeflorida.net, where the Constitution still lives. These guys believe in 2A. They make all kinds of beautiful shirts with Florida themed products. They have a new line that's going to be American Pride, which is another one they've got coming out. We'll show you some reviews on that. They are good quality SPF 50 shirts, and they work really, really well. Whether you're looking for a fishing shirt or just an overall going to the bars or anything else like that, they're great, comfortable, lightweight, very easy, very comfortable. It's not going to be heavy. It's a great, good buy. If you want to take advantage of them, you can look through our description of this uh, live, and there is a link to their website. And if at checkout, if you put in FTBJ924 at checkout, you'll receive 10% off. Thank you, freeflorida.net, for sponsoring our live, our YouTube page, and our social media accounts. We thank you much for being part of our team, and we support you. Guys, take advantage of that discount. We appreciate you very much. All right, let's go up. Say goodnight to everybody. Jacob and I are gonna finalize the store here. We just got to finish up the doors. Jake and I did a lot of the prep today, and we're gonna shut it down for the evening. But I wanted to make sure I got this live off. I haven't missed one yet, and so I wanted to make sure I got this done. Thank you very much, Marla Johnson. That's my sister-in-law. We appreciate you. We love you very much, and hope you and Richard are doing wonderful and the kids. Chris, have a great, safe night. Let us know how you did, buddy. We'll be hopefully back open on Friday. Jose Fernandez, thank you very much from Puerto Rico. We appreciate you very much. Danny Schultz, hope you and your family are doing well. Hope you're getting better in your rehab. Danny is a good one of our members here, and he got sick a while back, and we're hoping that he's going to get better, and we'd like to see him again. God bless you, Danny. And Miss Johnson, I'll be home in a little bit. Make sure dinner's ready. I'll be right there. All right. I gotta be careful. We got a couple days being better. I'm not working, we closed the store to get it done. She had me working, cleaning the house all day today, and we clean house before the storm comes. So, all right, guys, that's it for this evening. Thank you very much. God bless you. Be safe. So funny. I love you, baby. Oh, hey, Heidi and I were watching the Vince McMahon wrestling uh, Netflix thing. If you get an opportunity to watch that, you're old school. I mean, old school. And it had a bunch of the old stuff on the WCW ties, and it had Vince on there and everything. It seems like a pretty good show. We've been watching it. We used to love the shit out of that stuff. Her and I would just in our first apartment. We actually we went to I don't know 3 or 4 events. I can't remember how many events we went to, but my brother Ronnie and I and the Johnsons, my my dad's sister's husband, which we thought he was her husband, but we found out later in life they were never married. His name was Nick, and he was a wrestler, and he took my brother because he ran the circuit up in Boston. He was a masked man. He was the Boston uh, baby. Uh, uh, what's his name is uh, Babyface Boston or something like that. He was masked, and Uncle Nick had big cauliflower ears, and he drove a car. He had a big Delta, big old boat thing, man. I remember being a kid, sicker than a dog inside that car because Uncle Nick had bad hips. He had cauliflower ears, so his equilibrium was off, and he drove a car by pushing the gas as hard as he could, and he let off until his hips started hurting. And that's how we get there. But we've been wrestling our whole life, my family, and then when Heidi and I got married, and my brother Ronnie and I and her would go to the wrestling matches. We saw Dusty Rhodes and Hulk Hogan and all those guys back in the day, so it's kind of cool. So we don't watch it anymore because it got too crazy on us, too much, too crazy and too not so. But back in the day, it was kind of fun to watch that. To get an opportunity, it's a good Netflix one to see. All right, guys. Good night. God bless. remember, life is too short. Get out and have some fun. Go fishing, go hunting, go do something. Get your family out, get your kids out of those toys and games and get them outside playing in the yard. Take their shoes off, let their feet get dirty, and get outside and enjoy it. God made it, it's there for a reason. Make sure you get outside. Air conditioning is great and wonderful, but being outside, breathing fresh air is always better. If you get an opportunity to watch some of our hunting stuff, we got some hunting videos. I just posted another one, third weekend of archery season. We did a whole day of hunting. We did the whole weekend basically. We did the September the 28th and the 29th. It's just posted now. Uh, Spoiler alert: nothing got punched, nothing got tagged, but it was a good overall time. I did get wet. It rained both days, but we had a good, good, good videos. You get an opportunity to watch them. All right. Until next time, God bless. Love you very much, and we'll see you next week. God willing.